Okay, this is my take 3, goddammit. Just cut them other 2, because the first story was a retell. The Paul Johnson story, ain't nobody gonna fucking care because ain't nobody a raver no more. That shit's been dead for 15 years. So, I mean, ravers would be amazed at that shit, but nobody fucking knows who Paul Johnson is, but y'all should. But anywho, alright, here's a good story. This is 2007. Me and Anomaly go out to Denver because I was a porn star then. So I was shooting a porn scene out in Denver with, what the fuck was that bitch's name? Nevaeh, heaven spelled backwards. You can Google that bitch. The intro is on my YouTube channel if you care to peep it, but I can't put no nudity on there. So I used to be a foot fetish porn star. So we flies out there and, had a ball. A goddamn ball. And, you know, we're there for a couple days. We're at the Adams Mark Hotel, which is gone now, but it was like 5-star. You should have seen us walking in there, stugged out as a motherfucker. The guy at the counter checking in is like, oh, where y'all from? And Anomaly's like, you know, Louisville, Kentucky, whoop-de-whoop. And we're like, oh, what's it like being in a big city? And Chris is like, fuck. Yeah, he's got his government on there. I'm good. So anyways, he's like, bruh, I don't think you understand where I'm from. And nobody gets it, man. Everybody thinks Louisville's out with cows, and they don't get it. It's rough here. But, anywho, so we're staying there, got porn stars coming in and out of this goddamn hotel. First 2 days it was nice, and then it turned cold, like a storm whipped some snow off the mountain, and we didn't bring no cold clothes. And, so I'm swimming at the rooftop heated pool in the snow, don't want to get out and run back in. Anywho, the day we're leaving, if y'all don't know, the airport's like butt miles away, and we was running out of money, and had just enough money. I'm talking, we in the cab, I got $75. We ain't even seen the airport yet, and we're at $62. And I'm like, Chris, we ain't got, he's got a motherfucking basketball jersey on. I got on a t-shirt, it's snowing, it's like 2 degrees. And, so I'm like, we're gonna have to walk in the snow to get this airport, cause I mean, what the fuck, we got non-refundable tickets, and we were out of money. So somehow it's like $73.50 when we get there. I had like $75. I mean, I had to save my dollar for a pop. I couldn't even tip the cabbie. So we get in there. We got some time to kill. This is a good fucking story. So I might have to call for part 2. But anywho, we get in there and we're going through. Do you know about the Denver murals? If y'all don't know about the Denver murals, y'all ain't no conspiracy theorists. But go Google. I mean, there's some fucked up shit at this airport. So we take pictures of these Denver murals, which is right by the baggage claim if y'all ever go out there. So we left the mural, and we're going to go through the security checkpoint. I get through, no problem. And then my homie Anomaly goes through, and they talking, TSA talking some shit, talking about, oh, our bomb sniffer smelled your phone, and it went off, and whoop-de-whoop. They take this motherfucker in that back room, you know, the feely-touchy room, and I wouldn't want to feely-touchy him. I mean, so they give him the 3rd degree going through his shoes and his phone, and, you know, using the x-ray on his necklace, and you know, fucking tweezing his nose hairs, whatever the fuck the TSA does. And so he finally come out of there, and I'm thinking like, Jesus Christ, am I about to lose my dog? Like, they trying to take his phone apart and shit. So anyways, we get through that finally. Now we waiting on this plane. It's a blizzard outside now, bro. Like when we got there, it was 78 degrees 3 days earlier, and now it's a blizzard, 2 degrees. And we ain't got no good clothes. And it don't look like we're flying nowhere. Like, it's like 5 in the morning. We had to be there early. And dude, I was so excited about doing porn, we almost missed the taxi and the plane to begin with, because I got so fucking drunk the day before, because my old roommate lived out there, so we was playing chess. Only time I've ever beat Anomaly in chess was that day, and he won't play me no more, because now he's scared to lose twice, because he's a chess master. And, I'm like, you can't whoop him in chess. I beat him once. It may have been a fluke, I don't know. But I think I just learned to whatever. He won't play me no more. So, I was puking. I couldn't come off the toilet. I mean, I'm hugging this toilet, and he's like, we gotta go, the plane's leaving, we ain't got no refundable tickets, bro, you got to go. Take a grocery bag. And I'm like, no, I'm not leaving. And I mean, picture me with both my arms around the toilet, and Anomaly got both my feet. And this is yanking and yanking and yanking. And finally he pulls me loose from his toilet, and we made, you know, the taxi, and now we're at the airport. But, so So they're de-icing this plane. It's a fucking blizzard. I'm like, ain't nobody flying nowhere. Well, they de-ice the plane, say we're going. Well, as soon as we get out of onto that, whatever the fuck that thing is, the little movable hallway that takes you from the airport to the plane, it's fucking freezing. And me and him is running, and especially him because he's in a motherfucking Bulls jersey and shorts. So we get on the plane, we get out the runway. They're like, no, plane's covered in ice again. Like, I know we just de-iced it 3 minutes. The guy said, while fucking old man winter is just butt fucking the whole weather system. And I'm calling everybody talking about, bro, they gonna let us take off in an ice storm. I love y'all if I don't see y'all no more. At least I'm going out with a porn scene. But somehow we didn't crash because I'm here telling the story. And that's my Denver story. And Anomaly, love you, bro. Congratulations.
Here we go. You are now listening to Random Ramblings with Rob. Yay! Yeah! Look at it. Boom, 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 boom.
What up, everybody? This your boy B-Rob, and I'm back with another edition of the Random Ramblings with Rob podcast. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you, the listener, for coming back each and every week and listening to the show. And if you're a first-time listener, I appreciate you for taking a chance and listening to my wonderfully fantastical invigoration of audio stylings. I just made up a word somewhere in there. I don't even know if that was real or not. But hey, it is what it is. How's everybody doing? I know you can't answer me back, but in your head, you can probably shoot me some mental salutations or something, incantations. You're doing voodoo now, I guess. I don't know. But it's been another week. We are here on episode 90. We are 10 weeks away from episode 100. 10 episodes. I don't even know what I got lined up for episode 100, even whenever I get there. But it's coming up. It's going to be here quicker than I know it. And it is, I don't know, man. I don't even know how I really feel about it. I know they had a couple of podcasts that just finished celebrating their 100 episode. I think Poop Culture did, and a few other podcasts, Toe on the Trigger. I don't even know if that 100 episode came out for Toe on the Trigger, but I know I sent a voicemail in for it. Sean from the Horribly Awkward just eclipsed 100 episodes not too long ago. Yeah, whoever is just recently within the last couple months or whenever hit their 100 episode, congratulations. You've been doing this for 100 weeks or however long you've been doing podcast or whatever, but it is a feat. I can remember doing episode 50 and everything, and it was like, wow, I did it. Yay. Now it's just like, here I am at episode 90. Usually every 10 episodes I was talking about I was going to do a solo episode and just kind of give y'all like a recap of everything. But I feel like I kind of do that every episode anyway before we get into the podcast proper like. So I kind of did away with that. I remember I remember that every 10th episode I used to mark it with a Roman numeral. I don't even think I did that in a while or whatever. I think everything started going awry around episode 70 or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, as always, got another guest for you this week. Pulled randomly from the ether of Twitter. And this is our second time trying to record this audio masterpiece, if you want to call it that. I call it a masterpiece. I'm an artist. Put the shit together. Not like Shinsuke though. Kinshasa. And that's kind of coincidental that I would bring up professional wrestling because my guests and I talk this whole podcast about professional wrestling. So if you're not into the wrestling talk from me, I guess this is where you can tune out. Skip ahead about an hour and some change, and then you can get to the outro and hear my plugs. But hey, man, you downloaded the episode. You done heard it up until this point. You might as well go ahead and finish it out, man. I would appreciate it. I mean, I got your analyticals now. I think if you've listened this far, I guess I think that's how it works. You listen for so many seconds and they count that as a play or a like or something. I don't know. I don't know how this shit work. But my guest is Sock Monkey Mike. Young man, just graduated high school, foraying into college. We talk a little bit about that, but he is a passionate fan of professional wrestling. And like I said before, the show is not just my show, it's your show too. It's your platform to speak your mind, plug yourself, not sexually, your movement, your show, your ideas or whatever. I mean, you can come here and do it. I mean, I don't care who you are. If you want to get on here and record and talk, this is the place to do it. So, I kind of got with Mike, through the New Age Insiders, you know, the whole, New Age Insiders Wrestling Network and everything. He's a fan of the New Age Insiders. He was listening to the Pipe Bomb and a lot of the other shows that's on the network. And, he would always tweet and retweet and like just something about the things that he would do on Twitter. You know, he would set Twitter goals for himself. And I found that interesting or whatever. And I was just like, I wonder what this Sock Monkey Mike is about. I'm gonna get him on my show and pick his brain a little bit. And that's kind of what I did. We talk heavily about wrestling, as I said a few minutes ago. But I found myself not really talking with him about wrestling per se, but kind of picking his brain and getting some of his viewpoints on certain things and everything because young man want to make a career out of professional wrestling, not the physical aspect of it, but broadcasting and everything. Maybe being a ring announcer or something. I don't know. But he wants to be behind the microphone and chatting about the professional wrestling. And this is kind of his baby steps to getting toward that, I guess. I mean, he's out here on the public platform now talking with me about professional wrestling. And this will go out all over the world for people to listen to and hear his unique opinions and views about professional wrestling. So without further ado, we're going to get into this edition of the Random Rambles with Rob podcast featuring Sock Monkey Mike. All right. Welcome back for the second time.
Thank you, man. I mean, I think this will be a good episode. I think this is going to be a good second coming, if you will. So I think this is going to be awesome, dude.
Yeah, because last time it was just kind of abruptly stopped, and I wasn't ready for that at all.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where it was just like you were into the conversation, and then all of a sudden it was just like cut off, and I was like, oh, well.
Yeah, it was just like, yeah, man, and then this happened, and then the Millennium Falcon flew down. Oh, I gotta go.
Yeah. Oh, how bad timing that was at the time.
Hey, man, life happens. I understand it.
Yeah.
But anyway, what's been going on recently?
Recently, man, just going through college, just catching up on some WWE, just catching up, trying to get ready for No Mercy. That's coming up. The card is stacked. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is very stacked. I think better than SummerSlam.
Really now?
I think it's better than SummerSlam because if you think about it, Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar, that match is going to probably raise the fucking roof. And then, just a bunch of them also, I mean, there are some matches in there that kind of are unnecessary, like Finn Balor versus, Bray Wyatt again. I thought SummerSlam would end it, but I don't know. If that's how WWE is going to, deal with things, then hey, I'd rather see them one more time and let it ride off into the sunset than see them like how many times we've seen freaking Baron Corbin versus Dolph Ziggler 1,000 times.
Yeah, I think it was a timing issue with that thing. Finn Balor been on the main roster for about a year, but he hadn't been on actual TV due to injury that whole year. So we've only got to see the fantastic Demon Paint one time, and just because it was SummerSlam, It's one of their bigger marquee events. They had to whip out the face paint. And I think they did that a little too early.
Right.
But hey, it is what it is. As far as No Mercy goes, I mean, is Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar like the main thing that you're looking forward to? Because I know that's what it is for me.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I'm looking forward to the most. These other matches are kind of okay, because they're in the mid card and stuff like that. I mean, I actually surprisingly a mid card match that I'm looking forward to is, believe it or not, it's Enzo Amore versus Neville.
Yeah,
and the reason I say that's interesting is because I'm just going to put that out there. I am not a fan of Enzo Amore at all. I think that him being in the cruiserweight division is just a disgrace to all those cruiserweights in the cruiserweight classes that busted their ass out there and that really showcased cruiserweight wrestling. And just to have him in there cheating and all that. I mean, not just cheating and all that, but like just the image of Enzo Amore just being in the cruiserweight division and just being entitled as this joke after the joke rivalry he had with Big Cass. I mean, it was, I don't know. I personally do not, I dislike it. That's how I kind of might see, my point of view.
What with Enzo? Is that dislike fairly recent, or is it always been there?
With Enzo, I think it's been very more recent, because when he was with Big Cass as a tag team, I think I was a fan at the time. I was actually going to think that they were going to be tag team champion status, especially during the days of NXT when they were like, they're on top of not on top of the world, so to speak, but like on top of their game. And then as soon as they broke up, I was thinking that Enzo was just going to ride into the sunset. We weren't going to see him a while, and then they're just going to reunite Big Cass and Enzo. But instead, you make Big Cass this monster heel that is now injured, and then you make Enzo Amore a part of this cruiserweight division that has so much to live up for, because 205 Live is just becoming now what is now, main event for Tuesday nights. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like how do you, handle that?
Well, regardless of how we feel about Enzo Amore, I think he is making big bucks for that company, because the dude can talk.
Right.
He has a certain appeal to him and everything, and a lot of people dig him. They can utter every word of his entrance. The
crowd just goes over with this person.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as the 205 Live deal or whatever, I think 205 Live needs, more individuals like that. That's why Neville is the champion, regardless of the phenomenal talent they do have on the 205 roster.
Right.
But Neville is more recognizable and everything, and he's just become this whole other thing since he won the Cruiserweight Championship.
Right.
Also, they even had that little small twinge when they had Sasha Banks on 205 Live. And that was like a highly touted episode just because Sasha Banks was on 205 Live.
Right.
So,
now, I don't know. It's just, I think 205 Live as a show has gone to the point where they have to bring in main superstar people to just gather views, to just gather attention. Like if you saw recently with 205 Live, they had to bring in Breezango, Tyler Breeze, and Fandango.
Yeah.
Just to create some sort of, just to make the crowd a little bit pop. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like, oh my God, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin and he's coming to 205. No, but like it's just, just trying to create some sort of publicity for a show that, I mean, not to be mean, I mean, barely what the crowd's barely awake during that show. I mean, they're so hyped for SmackDown Live because it's, the first show up.
Yeah. And then, I totally agree with what you're saying, because, I've been to a SmackDown Live show, and they have a dark match before SmackDown. Then they actually have SmackDown. Then they expect you to stick around for 205 Live, and to get you to stick around for 205 Live, they entice you with another dark match after 205 Live. So that's a lot of wrestling to sit through, especially if you got little kids. I mean, I know little kids love wrestling, but their attention span ain't, about shit.
Right.
So.
I don't know. I mean, where, like, if someone would have asked me, like, where do you see the future of 205 Live and the Cruiserweight division right now, and I think you're going to agree with me on this, B-Rob, I think Neville, the way he composes himself as the champion, as this alpha male who relatively can't be stopped after, saying that, even though Tozawa, defeated him, but apparently that didn't count because he won it back at SummerSlam anyways.
Yeah.
But for now we're just gonna scratch at it and just pretend that he never that he never lost that. But other than that, like, I think Neville right now, personally, I think I would consider a fan of him because he's taken that division and he's kind of raised it to new heights. You know what I mean? Because he's that dominant champion that no one really could beat, except for that one instance that really we kind of don't want to recognize, but kind of happened.
Yeah.
So that's who I think is kind of helping this division and the show itself of 205 Live stay on the network and to stay on the air.
Yeah, I really feel, other than main event superstars, if those shows are still a thing, I think main event is. But any show that is not SmackDown or Raw or whatever it is, I think it should be given the NXT treatment. I mean, not, just it needs to be down in Full Sail. It needs to be in that small environment, that small atmosphere. It doesn't need to be drug out there every Tuesday night to be recorded, with that dead ass crowd, Because
I mean, obviously you have to have a lot, like an atmospheric crowd to even have a show. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I believe if they was like that, if they pre-taped it like they did in NXT, they had it down in Full Sail or whatever. Because I mean, all right, you can go to a SmackDown Live and that's a 2-hour show. You can go to Raw and that's a 3-hour show. So I mean, you can wrap up NXT, which is an hour show, and 205 Live, which is an hour show, together. There you go. So it's like essentially it's a 2-hour show, but it's 2 different shows.
Yeah, I mean, I think 205 Live, especially. I mean, I don't consider it a show like NXT where it's its own separate brand, or I don't consider it, trying to be its own separate brand. I kind of see it more as just another show like Main Event or a replacement as this old show called, WWE Superstars. I really don't see it as its own brand, more of it just a little knockoff show after SmackDown Live.
Yeah, but I mean, how does that look for all that talent that they pulled in, like Cedric Alexander,
right.
Grand Metalik, and all those other guys, man? Because, I mean, they get some airtime, but I'm not really seeing a lot of them if I'm not going to sit there and watch 205 Live.
Right. And I was just talking to DC Matthews from New Age Insiders and on Twitter, and he was talking about how, like, he would see all these matchups from the 205 Live roster and see if there's some WWE like main roster stars that we could put in 205 Live that can make the show more exciting. Like it might, like we mentioned, there's one of them in particular is Kalisto.
Yes.
Kalisto, I think could bring a little bit of more fire than like how Neville kind of did.
Yeah.
And I see how he could put that Lucha Libre style into the Cruiserweight division.
Yeah.
Now,
I've been waiting on that.
What?
Yes, I've been waiting on that to happen. I thought that's where he was bound to. I even thought at one point in time I might have misheard or I might have dreamt about it or whatever, because I do stupid shit like that. I thought Sin Cara said he was going down to 205 Live.
Right, and then apparently he hasn't shown up. I mean, I think if I did my research correctly, he's still doing stuff like Main Event on Raw. So
yeah,
it's just one of those things where, I mean, Sin Cara on 205 Live, I mean, that would be interesting to kind of see like a Lucha Libre kind of style enter that besides Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado. Mm-hmm. But, like I said, like I mentioned, Kalisto has to be one of those people that has to be brought in to give like some sort of energy. But I do have to say this to you, B-Rob. I am not a fan of his current character that he's persuading right now on Raw, because I don't know if you noticed, but Kalisto has this horrible entrance theme. Look that he has of basically his old attire, except he just cut off the horns that he had on his mask and just put him in a black mask and just weird tights and stuff like that. I think, if anything, he needed to stick with the Lucha Dragons gimmick, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because
that really personified who he was as a character, and that was, Lucha Libre style. And then in terms of, somebody else like Sin Cara, I think he needs to go back to his roots, like in 2011 when he had like the blue mask and the cool entrance theme that made him more kind of like this mysterious, character. But yeah, I mean, if there's someone that I would really love to see on 205 Live or just the Cruiserweight division in general, it would have to be Kalisto. Yeah. Because he would bring some sort of, energy to the division.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I just believe, they got a lot of good talent down there. Mm-hmm. And it's just, they need, like what we've been saying, they just need more face value. They need more recognizable people. Maybe some people from the main roster or some other veterans that they can put down there. What do you think about the shift and the change with NXT as of late?
NXT right now, NXT in general has been a phenomenal, phenomenal change since it's, what was it called that on WWE Network that they always, recall it, like during the old NXT days, like not the time when they were like a game show kind of in 2010, but I'm talking about like when they were at full,
That's stupid shit.
Yeah. But they were like a revolution. There we go.
Yeah.
I always say this about NXT. It's the same evolution as the women's revolution, where they started from the bottom and then they got bigger, better, and made better, greater TV. So with NXT, they started with people like Cassius Ohno that would, and Antonio Cesaro, these guys that would evolve into like these big main guy names, and the type of wrestling that they change as well from the early stages where it would be like regular FCW type wrestling to NXT wrestling where the crowd would go over with like every single match. And to me, it's like NXT in its current state is probably how do I put this into perspective? When we saw Bobby Roode go up from NXT to SmackDown Live, we really weren't left with a lot of heels at the time.
Yeah.
Until the addition of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. Yeah. And then when those three gentlemen came into NXT, I think that brought more of a fire to NXT because those are one of the three hottest free agents, so to speak, in the independent wrestling world. So I think that right now, current NXT is probably one of the best in one of the best rosters, probably in the whole wrestling world, in my opinion.
Word. So how you feel about New Japan? You watch any of that?
New Japan, see, unfortunately, I always watch the old stuff. So because I get Access TV on my cable.
Yeah.
So anytime I get to watch, classic matches like Shinsuke Nakamura versus AJ Styles, it's just those that I kind of just watch on a Saturday night. And, when there's no WWE Wrestling TV or Lucha Underground or Ring of Honor, then that's what I'll probably be watching.
Word. Now, we just wrapped up the finals of the Mae Young Classic. What are your overall thoughts on that?
The Mae Young Classic, I think the Mae Young Classic, I believe, was one of the best tournaments that WWE has ever kind of not produced per se, but I'm saying that like that was created.
Yeah.
Like we had the Cruiserweight Classic in 2016 that raised the bar. That are like, okay, we didn't know about the Cruiserweights before, and then after this tournament, oh my god, like that now we have our eyes on Cruiserweights that we didn't know not existed, but like a type of wrestling that we didn't know existed. Yeah. Now we know what these Cruiserweights could do, and then we can look more into that. Like before, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't know who TJ Perkins was before.
Yeah.
And then after the tournament, after I watched all of those matches from him versus Johnny Gargano to the finals of him versus Kota Ibushi, I mean, that just said, wow, like this guy went through hell to win the Cruiserweight Championship, which now the Cruiserweight division is revived. And then, with the UK tournament, like I knew people like, Mark Andrews, Pete Dunne, I knew those people coming in, British Strong Style with Tyler Bate, Trent Seven. I knew who those people were going into the tournament. But after the tournament, I became more of a fan of British wrestling. So it's tournaments like those that really made me a fan of that type of wrestling more than what I was beforehand. Now, talking about the Mae Young Classic, it had competitors in there that was a mixture from all types of wrestling, mixed martial arts, different fighting styles, which was interesting because when I heard someone like Shayna Baszler, who's a big, part of the four horsewomen of UFC, and just to see her walk, go out, dominate the competition, and go to the finals against Kairi Sane, that to me was eye-opening because she was representing a whole different sport and going into the sport of wrestling, dominating out there. And, although she didn't win, she proved how, just like how kind of like Brock Lesnar and UFC fighters before whom tried WWE has kind of molded the wrestling style of WWE, and mixed it with, a little hint of UFC in there where you could dominate. And that to me was, made me a fan of the Mae Young Classic.
Yeah, especially Shayna Baszler style. I mean, it was more MMA based more than I could see wrestling because she threw hella strikes, went for hella submissions and everything like that. And there was not so many wrestling moves per se. I don't even think she did like a suplex or no crazy stuff like that. It was all strikes and jabs and submissions.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think, and I'm going to say this, and I don't know if you'll agree, B-Rob, but I think you may get my point.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I know that Shayna Baszler is the female version of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of those comparisons. I heard that. Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
Do you agree with that? I mean,
yeah, in a way, yeah, because like if you put Shayna Baszler against anybody on the current active roster, I mean, who couldn't she beat? Like decisively.
Right.
I mean, if you put up against Charlotte, I mean, it's going to be a competitive match because, Charlotte is like top tier wrestling talent. And I don't think they would structure a match to where she would get her ass beat a whole match or whatever. But then again, with Shayna Baszler's style, it probably limit a lot of her, her athleticism. She won't be doing a lot of aerial assaults and everything and, all kind of stuff like that. She'd try to keep her grounded and everything.
Yeah, more of a ground-based game than more of a high-flying offense.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not going to doubt that they're going to put on some good matches. I mean, let's see. All right, Charlotte and Shayna Baszler, that could be a good match. Shit. Let's just think about it this way. Shayna Baszler and Asuka.
Oh, my God. That says and smells and looks just plain money right there. Asuka versus Shayna Baszler.
Yeah, I mean, longest reigning champion of just about everything.
Right.
Longest undefeated streak of just about everything. You know, dominant in every match she's ever been in, even if she like slightly cheated to win or whatever, but she was still dominant all those matches. And you put her up against Shayna Baszler, who was just a beast throughout the whole tournament. And then I can't really speak so much to Shayna Baszler as a professional wrestler because truth be told, I've only seen 5 Shayna Baszler matches, and that was all through this tournament.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, from what I saw from this tournament, I believe she is very good. She's very talented.
Right.
I believe she can tweak and tune a couple things, and she can be even better than what she is now.
Right.
But I mean, hey, she pretty much took to this shit like a fish out of water. She went from 16 years of a physical combat sport to, you know, it's physical, but it's not, you know, fully hands-on, you know?
Right.
So I'm digging it. Because now we're hearing that Kairi Sane is now going to get a shot at the NXT Women's Championship at TakeOver Houston.
Yeah.
And I'm in Houston, so hopefully I'll get to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of a little bit off about the fact that you just went through a whole tournament as, you know, in memory of one of the great, like maybe the greatest, not even maybe, the greatest women's wrestler who paved the way in Mae Young. And all you get is, you know, I mean, if you compare it to all the other past tournaments, and I'm not knocking off anything from the Mae Young Classic. I'm not saying like, oh, it was a waste of the tournament. No. I mean, but I think they should have added the NXT Women's Championship because it was vacant, right? I mean, no one's holding the title.
Yeah, that's true.
And what better way to, you know, crown a new champion than like that? I mean, that's how I see it.
Well, yeah, I could see that too. I mean, I didn't really think about it at the time, you know, because it happened at the end of the, you know, the rest of the tournament, and the finals just happened, so it was kind of fresh. So I wouldn't even really think about that, but that could have been a good thing. But at the same time, you got women that are currently on NXT that I feel like maybe deserve a shot at the title as well, and just to, you know, slap it on somebody that hadn't really been there and putting in the work per se, you know, that would be kind of wrong, you know. I mean, it was different because the UK title had never been in existence and somebody won that. And the Cruiserweight title, I mean, it was technically there, but I mean, it's this whole new thing. So, you know, nobody was competing for it actively. So, you know, because I've been saying it for a while before even this women's tournament started, that the winner should get a shot at the NXT title, whoever was holding it. And now that the title is vacant, I believe maybe the women of NXT should have like maybe a fatal 4-way, 5-way, or their own little tournament to see who gets to face Kairi Sane at NXT, or maybe even for a shot at the championship. So they'll have an opponent for Kairi Sane at NXT TakeOver.
Right. I think that would be a very good idea. I mean, I've heard from a little bit of research that that NXT was going to hold its own separate tournament for the women's title. But then again, I also heard that there was going to be just a number one contenders, maybe like how you said, a fatal 4-way. So, I mean, WWE could swing it both ways, so to speak.
Yeah. And I believe, I mean, they should just put the strap on somebody now, because to have it vacant for this whole time and just have people competing for nothing really for however long it's going to take till NXT TakeOver in November, you know, you know, that's going to be a long time without a champion.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just excited to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I'm excited too, B-Rob. Speaking of which, I want to put wrestling aside, and I want to ask you, because I know a lot has happened over the past few weeks for you in the city of Houston. So I wanted to, you know, I know I'm your guest, and I know, you know, you're asking me the questions, but I just want to ask you a question, you know, just from, because I know you've been busy a lot, and I know you've been kind of dealing with, Hurricane Harvey and stuff like that, how much it impacted the city of Houston. And I just wanted to just ask for an update. Like, how's everything going over there? How's everything, holding up? Because I know Hurricane Harvey was pretty intense from what I've read, and I just wanted to make sure everything was okay. And I just wanted to know if, you're okay, the family's okay. And I just wanted to know that if everything's going good at this point.
All right. Yeah. I mean, and as I say out loud many times over recordings or Instagram or Twitter, this show is as much as yours as it is mine. So, I mean, feel free to ask questions or put me in the hot seat. I don't give a shit. It's your show too. But, from, the time that the actual storm passed over and everything, it's been rebuilding quickly. I mean, we had a lot of houses, specifically in my neighborhood, that were affected from the flood waters and everything. But the section that I was in was not, because we wound up living uphill in the neighborhood. So all that water that was coming down was just going downhill. So everybody downhill of us was pretty much affected. So right now, as I drive through the neighborhood, there's people with all they washed out furniture and belongings out on the curb for the trash to pick up. And damn, drywall, because all the walls and the insides got messed up from the waters. So all that sheetrock and all the other bull stuff is out there on the side of the road and everything. But Houston as a whole is getting better. I mean, there's always going to have road construction, so I can't tell if that was from the flood or is it what it was before, Yeah. But once the water went down, everybody was back to work, man. It was like nothing ever really happened.
Right. Yeah, because I remember listening to, and if I can quote, your episode from Random Ramblings with Rob, shitty ass computer.
Yes.
When I was hearing it, you were mentioning how, you were barely getting your computer started after the hurricane, and how you described the atmosphere of, just rebuilding, like how you said right now, like how, Houston's rebuilding, and everybody's kind of getting together, like neighbor to neighbor, kind of, restoring the power and stuff like that. And when I heard about that, I was like, shit, my dude B-Rob is going through some hell right now. And I was like, man, I just, like I said, I had you and the fam in my prayers. I have the whole city in my prayers, but thankfully you guys are all okay. I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay from your standpoint, because over here from California, reading the news, I'm just like, man, because I actually have some family members in Texas, not necessarily Houston, and I know they were drastically devastated from the hurricane. So I just wanted to make sure that everything in Houston's part of, point of view was actually, getting better, and hopefully everything was, okay.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that, but everything going all right. I mean, we were lucky. I mean, hands down, lucky as shit. I mean, we had power the whole time. No water got in the house. I mean, we were just sitting here Netflix and chilling. That's pretty much what it was for us. But yeah, man, got to see Janet Jackson, because she came down here to see some of the people that were affected from the hurricane and everything. So I got to see Janet Jackson. I didn't get to meet her. I was in the same area as her. She walked by my line of sight, and I was like, God damn, that's Janet Jackson if you're nasty.
Man, you just ran up to her and said, hey, Janet.
Man, shit, if I would have ran up to her, we wouldn't be talking right now. I'd be laid up somewhere or dead. Don't run up on Janet Jackson.
Right. So you mentioned about TakeOver being in Houston. This is actually the first time I'm hearing about this. Do you know when it's going to be?
It's going to be right before Survivor Series. So Survivor Series is November 19th. So NXT TakeOver is going to be Saturday the 18th. And then we'll be hosting. Nice. Then we'll be hosting Monday Night Raw on the 20th, and we'll also be hosting SmackDown on the 21st. So we have 4 consecutive days of WWE programming in Houston.
And you're going to get tickets for all 4.
You fucking right.
I mean, hey, I wish that could be for my city, man. I mean, I'm rocking, Ontario, California, the Inland Empire, a small community, but, for some weird reason, we've hosted SmackDown Live, 3 times, and we've hosted now Monday Night Raw, which is not coming up this upcoming Monday, but next Monday.
Sweet. You gonna get in on it?
Yep. Front row.
Oh shit, you better than me. I get whatever they give me.
Yeah, well, no. See, here's the funny part was that this was months and months of saving up and not spending my money on books.
Yeah.
So, so I'm excited for it. I'm still deciding on, what outfit I should rock. I was I was thinking of getting some podcast tees from Pro Wrestling Tees, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Random Ramblings with Rob actually has some tees, correct?
Not on Pro Wrestling Tees, but I have my own little shenanigans over here, but
okay.
Yeah, man. Hey, I appreciate that. If you're gonna rock a Random Ramblings with Rob shirt at your Raw or SmackDown event, that would be cool, especially if you're in the front row. That's advertising for me.
Yeah, I'm going to write a sign that says, check out this podcast, and then everybody's just going to check it out. You're going to have like 1,000 more listeners.
Oh, man, I would love that. I tell you what, if you front row and you on the camera, I would freaking send you a free shirt. You ain't got to pay for shit.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome. But, Monday Night Raw next Monday night is going to be awesome. I mean, it's just going to be one of those things where it's a dream come true, because I would always dream of having Monday Night Raw, because Monday Night Raw before the brand split, Monday Night Raw would always end up in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
So I would not be able to go because A, it's too expensive, B, it's too far from my house. And, but whenever it would come to Ontario, because in Ontario, not for those that don't know, it's not Canada, it's California.
Yeah, as soon as you said it, I was like, what?
I'm sorry, B-Rob, I'm not Canadian, so
yeah.
Like I was saying, we always hosted live events starting in 2012 when the Citizens Bank Arena, that's what my home arena is called, opened. So ever since then, we always had WWE come to our city. But the first time it came to our city, that was actually aired not live, because back then there was tapings of SmackDown. Would always come to Ontario from like 2014 to 2016 before the brand split.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just awesome to, view them live. And I'm like, man, imagine if SmackDown Live, which would then become like a big, show at the time. Imagine like how big it was if we were actually live on TV. Well, then they finally came up with SmackDown Live on Tuesdays. And then it would be not till February of this year that they came to my city. And it was just mesmerizing to see. Although I didn't have necessarily good seats at the time, it was still mesmerizing to see the energy and like the live. Like we were actually live on freaking TV,
Yeah.
I mean, so it was awesome.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's going to be on my bucket list. Well, 2 of them, actually. I mean, I've been to a WrestleMania before or whatever, so I can scratch that off. But I want to go to another WrestleMania, and I want to be front row. That's one of my things on my bucket list. And I've been to enough Raw and SmackDown shows. I would say be front row for one of those live events or whatever, but I've been to enough of them to be like, well, I wouldn't care. But definitely being front row at a WrestleMania, that would be freaking awesome.
Man, that's the childhood dream, man. Being front row at a WrestleMania, the most tickets you'll ever pay in your life.
Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, I don't even know how much those tickets would be front row. I mean, I know the travel packages, they're like from $4,000 or $5,000 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they get up there. But you was talking about earlier, paying for these tickets and everything, saving up and not spending your money on books. Didn't you got out of high school and then you got a scholarship from Apple, right?
Yeah. So what ended up happening was that during the peak of my senior year, I was blessed and thankful enough that I received a scholarship that was, that was enough to pay for my classes and to pay for like one or two books. And, and I was just blessed to have my, first year of college paid for. So it was just one of those experiences that was just like, if I didn't get that scholarship, I wouldn't be talking to you today.
Well, I mean, you probably be talking to me at some capacity. I mean, the scholarship had nothing to do with it. I just found out the last time we talked.
Yeah. And speaking about the last time we talked, for those that don't know what you're talking about the last time we talked, I know we were talking about, who I am and how my wrestling fandom goes all the way back, towards my grandparents and how they were fans of wrestling of, Bruno Sammartino, just to name an example, Harley Race. And just the fandom of back then and tracing it all the way to now is just, incredible.
Yeah, man, just go ahead and give us a backlog because, I mean, nobody will ever hear what we talked about before. So it's like it never happened.
Right. So, so basically my life story has just been, I don't want to say it's been nothing but wrestling because that sounds so shady, but I mean, I grew up with the family lineage of wrestling fans. I mean, as I mentioned on the show before, but since you're the listener right now, you probably haven't heard that conversation. Well, probably will never. But just to recap, I grew up watching PWG shows. For those who don't know, it's Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. And the first person I was a fan of that I saw live was obviously Johnny Gargano, and to see him live at PWG, him signing an autograph of mine when I was, back then, like 4 or 5 years old. I think that's how young I was. And, people like Johnny Gargano, Kevin Steen, who's now Kevin Owens at the time, seeing people like those really kind of got me more to not only the love of WWE, but the love of wrestling in general.
I thought you were going to keep going, man. There's a lot more content.
I thought you were going to say something. That's why I kind of left it.
I'm just listening right now because I kind of know what you're going to say, but everybody else doesn't know.
Right. So, like I mentioned, after the PWG shows, which, like I mentioned, I was watching at a very young age live, and I was like, man, I think wrestling is something that I really have, a real passionate fandom for. So, it was not till, I was still a WWE kid, but I still didn't know there was wrestling outside of WWE. So I looked at PWG. I probably was the only kid at my school that had the most collection of PWG pay-per-views. And that's probably saying something. Like Battle of Los Angeles 2011, I think I still have to this day. Yeah. And, now I really can't collect those DVDs because, like I said, I'm still paying for school. But, so going on from PWG to WWE still, I was still a WWE fan when I was going through my PWG era stage, but, PWG was, like I mentioned before, the first independent wrestling besides WWE that made me a fan of independent pro wrestling. I have to admit, and I'm sorry if this is going to make you laugh, B-Rob, but I was actually a fan of Impact Wrestling for a certain time.
Well, no, I'm not going to laugh at you because I was a fan of Impact as well.
Back in the days when Sting and, Austin Aries and just to name a few, Kevin Nash, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair even was there, and they lit the roof off with the Ultimate X matches.
Yeah.
And, stuff like that. And I was, I think it was like 9 or 10 when I was a fan. And the very first, think about this, B-Rob, the very first wrestling video game I ever got that I physically bought with my own money was TNA Impact for PS3.
No. Oh no!
Yeah.
Well, that's where they introduced the character Suicide.
Yeah. And to be honest, I was a fan at the time, but then I realized how much that game sucked.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry you waste your money.
Yeah, it was not worth $60 at the time.
Yeah, but yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, but like that's just you as a fan and from your perspective growing up as a kid or whatever. But what about your parents? Your parents? Right,
right. My parents. Well, like I mentioned before. Well, to the listener, this is new information, but my parents literally. My mom, for example, I think she was more of a pro wrestling fan than my father was, but. Just for now, I'm just going to say how much they both equally loved wrestling. That's why they got together. So, my mother, like how I mentioned before about my grandparents, they kind of, from Harley Race to Bruno Sammartino, how they were a fan of wrestling, old school wrestling. And then that kind of gave into my mother, kind of like I mentioned about passing the lineage of passionate wrestling fans. It's, it was passed on to my mother, but this time it was back in the days of Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior and Razor Ramon, Shawn Michaels, just to name a few of those during the 80s and 90s. So that's how much she was a fan. And way back then when, Raw would come to, places like San Bernardino, California, that's where, they would go to Monday Night Raws and live events. And, it was stuff like that gained her fandom. But with my father's point, he became more of a pro wrestling fan at the age of, I would say maybe like 19 or 20, because he would live over there in the, kind of West LA kind of. Yeah. But he was a traveler. He literally, I'm not going to lie to you, the very first ECW pay-per-view, okay, oh my goodness, B-Rob, do you remember what the pay-per-view was called? I forgot.
Don't you make me lie. You said it last time, but I lost the audio, so I can't confirm nor deny.
No, I'm talking about the name of the first ECW pay-per-view. I was trying to think of it.
Yeah, like I said, you're asking the wrong person to remember shit.
Yeah. But I'll look it up later and see. I think that kind of tells a lot. But anyways, so the first ECW pay-per-view, my father literally flew in from Ontario, California, all the way to Philadelphia just to be in the audience for that experience.
It was barely legal. It was April 13th, 1997.
1997. He flew in all the way from California just to be a part of Barely Legal to see Taz versus Sabu.
Man.
That's how a wrestling fan he was.
That was just a rivalry there. I would always hear about those two because ECW to me was hard to find. Only ECW stuff that I saw was on tapes that one of my friends had or whatever. And anytime I seen it, it was just carnage, tables, freaking barbed wire, explosions, all kind of crap.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's just. See, I'm the one starting the wrestling lineage in my family.
Right.
Because my father knew of wrestling, but he wasn't a wrestling fan. He only indulged my childhood curiosities and everything. He would take me across town at the time. They only had like maybe 1 or 2 video stores that you could rent tapes. Mm-hmm. And he would take me way across town to rent wrestling tapes and everything.
Right.
He would always jab at me though. He's like, that's fake, right? And I was like, it's not fake. It's not fake.
Yeah. I think the person that told me that wrestling was fake was, oh my God, who told me to at first? There was a couple people that told me, but I think the very first person was back then wasn't my best friend, but now he's like one of my closest, like I consider him a brother now. he told me, like, because it was probably the night, I remember. It was the night that DX and faced the Spirit Squad okay, here we go, Saturday Night Main Event. I believe it was in 2007 or 2006. 2006, there we go. Saturday Night Main Event. And I was coming home, because my mom took me with her to work. And I was like, man, I'm about to watch this pay-per-view that's on a Saturday because Sundays it's always church and it's kind of difficult to watch on Sundays, but hey. And he came over because we literally live like across the street from each other. And it was funny because he literally, because I invited him to go watch it. And then as soon as that match came on, he told me right to my face, hey, dude, do you know it's fake, right? And that triggered, that's the first time I'll ever use that word, B-Rob, and probably the only time I'll use that word. Triggered me as a wrestling fan. Because at the time, I was so, like, and I still continue the passion now. But at the time, that was like saying, like, your mom sucks or something like that. That to me was one of those things where you just don't say to my face, or else we're not friends anymore. I got so mad at him. I told him to get out of the house and to walk your ass back to your place, which was across the street. But then, bygones was bygones, like after 2 days, and we both got ice cream and became best friends.
You know it's fake, right? Get out!
Yeah, and then later on, my mom would find out that I kicked him out of the house, and then, like I mentioned before, we got ice cream, and I guess that was all better.
Ice cream makes everything better.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, we done came around full circle now. I mean, and we got even more than what we had the last time. And actually, the computer is not a piece of shit anymore because I did open heart surgery.
Right.
So yeah, man, we gonna put a pin in it right here.
Right.
Man, I appreciate you giving me your time. Love talking wrestling anytime I can talk about it. And appreciate you indulging me with some of your wrestling fandom.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. I mean, like, seriously, if it wasn't, I know how much difficulty it was to get the second time around than the first time around because, you have your busy schedule and all that. But dude, like I mentioned before, this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. And just this first experience was probably right now, and I'm just going to say this, the best podcast I think I've ever been a part of, even though that's kind of a little biased kind of saying because it's my first podcast and all. But I'm saying, like, seriously, to quote AJ Styles, phenomenal.
All right. Yeah. You always remember your first. So there you go.
And just a little plug for those who want to follow yours truly. It's at Sock Monkey Mike. Oh, wait. Before we go, I remember on that podcast.
There you go. I was just about to say it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Shitty ass computer. You were mentioning how you didn't ask me where I got my name. So, I mean, if you want to go now, that'd be perfect.
Go ahead. How did you come about the nickname Sock Monkey Mike, which I always conveniently call you Sock Money Mike?
Right? Sock Monkey Mike was a persona that was created, oh my God, 3 years ago in December of 2014. And it was literally something that I was like, okay, I have one Twitter name, which is my real name. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to create a second one just only based on wrestling. Just like based on being a wrestling fan, interacting, just getting involved with the wrestling community. So I'm just going to create. And then, so I was creating, I got my profile picture. I don't know if you could pop that up. That's going to be a long research away to go from 2014 to now. But just considering how many pictures I have on my profile, for those who want to check it out, it's at Sock Monkey Mike on Twitter. So, sorry, I just had to put that little plug in there.
Yeah, no problem.
And I was thinking of a username. So, by the time it said, okay, create a username, I was thinking, okay, maybe I should call myself, Money Madness or Wrestling Fanboy 24 or some weird, name like that. And then I was thinking, what is something that is so unique that people are going to say, man, you hear this guy's name, it's so unique, but it's also kind of funny. But then again, you could also take him a little serious. And I'm thinking, okay, well, my name is Michael, so I'll just shorten it to Mike, see if that kind of rolls off the tongue. And I'm like, what's something that really describes me? And it's like, well, and here's the relevancy to the sock monkey part. When I was growing up, I would always have this sock monkey toy that I would grow up with during my early ages of childhood. So that would be from the age of 2 after my, cause when I was, just a little backstory over here, when I was about 1-2 years old, I had head surgery because apparently they found some extra fluid in my head and they found, that was just at the time that was like, oh my God. So as soon as I came out of surgery from that, that's the first thing they gave me was the sock monkey toy. And I just fell in love with it, called it my best friend, and I've had it. Well, I had it, past tense because now it's probably somewhere in the garage, creeping up somewhere. But, that's where I got the relevancy from sock monkey because that was something that I felt was representative of me because that's kind of who I am. I like that kind of things. So that's where and I think that really kind of rolled off the tongue of Sock Monkey Mike. So that's where I really came up with the name. Of just the relevancy of who I was. Or who I am, sorry.
It's a damn tongue twister for me. I can't say a lot of things. I was like, sock money.
Hey, at least it's not something like in gibberish.
Yeah, at least it's not. All right. Well, shit, man. Once again, appreciate you giving me time. I finally got the origin story. And I don't know, I'll probably call you SMM, shorten it up.
Yeah.
Schmike.
Well, like I said, it was a pleasure, man. Definitely a great experience for my first podcast. Maybe in the future I could pop up again. That'd be so awesome. Like I said, it was awesome talking wrestling with B-Rob and the whole family of Random Ramblings with Rob. Sorry, that's a horrible impression of Rob. There's only one him, but and it was just amazing to have these conversations and if I get the chance to talk wrestling, I'm going to be here for hours. So like I mentioned, I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time, B-Rob, but it was awesome. I hope I could maybe pop up again and definitely check out the podcast. I mean, trust me, if I can say this a lot from a fan of Random Ramblings with Rob, I think the listener out there could understand how much you can learn so much from wrestling and being a wrestling fan. So from a wrestling fan, it was an honor. It was great talking to you, and I'm almost out of breath, but it was just awesome. No words to describe it.
All right. Thank you for all that. And that was the show. Yay. Well, it's the second iteration of this particular episode because we had audio difficulties the last time me and Mike recorded. Then, as y'all know, if you've been monitoring Instagram and everything, my laptop took a shit and it took Mike's episode with him when it went to hell. But we was able to do it again. And this was like shit, double the length of, not my penis, but the episode that we did last time. Because he had to abruptly leave. We was recording for like 20 minutes. He was like, okay, I got to go now. And he just hung up. And that was it. I didn't ask to why. We kind of talked about it briefly in this interview. But whatever. We got it done this time. And it was even better than the last time. So thank you, Mike, for your time. And I look forward to chatting with you on Twitter or maybe back here on the show in the future. Anyway, we got some new things coming up. If you haven't seen it on Twitter, I changed the not the hashtag, but I did change the hashtag that I was using. It's no longer the _podcast. Podcast on Twitter. It is 3R Show. Short, simple, to the point. Because, I mean, hey, man, they got 3 R's in the title of the show. So there you go. 3R Show. Booyah. I tried to get that shit on Twitter. You know, there's a B3R Show as well. But god damn it, somebody is hogging the goddamn name, man. They only got one post, I think, or even one follow, or they ain't got nothing on their damn page. They just got a profile picture and nothing. And it's private. And I sent them a message, or her a message on the motherfucking instant messages, and they haven't responded. They haven't even looked at the goddamn thing. I think it's just they forgot about it. I'm gonna probably see if I can get on the forum or something and talk with Instagram and say, hey man, release that shit, give it to me. Because I want it. I want all my shit to match. That's kind of why I was using the old hashtag, you know, the RRRPC. I know it's podcast is not a compound word. It's not 2 words, but I was just looking for a unique hashtag. I was looking for a hashtag that nobody was using, and nobody was using RRRPC, you know? And I did a little bit of look up on the internet, on the Google, and I typed in the hashtag 3R Show, and nothing really came up. So I'm gonna start rolling with that now. So if you're looking for the show on Twitter, you can find it at 3R Show. And if you want to find me on Twitter to talk professional wrestling and other general shenanigans, you could do it at It's B-Rob. That's ITSBROB. You can also go to randomrobcast.com, and you can find out ways that you can support the show and help it grow, which I'm producing some new content. I got both of these laptops up and running now. I'm on my MacBook Pro recording this thing. I found out that my mixer, one of my gain knobs on my channels is fucking up. So I switched that out. So hopefully I can bring you some better audio content, but I want to start dipping my toe into the video realm and everything. And, I got some equipment, but I'm going to need more in the future. But if you go to randomrobcast.com, you can kind of help your boy out with that by using your Amazon links. You know, you just click on the link. It'll take you to Amazon. You shop like you normally do. You don't spend nothing extra, but whatever you purchase using my links, I get a little extra on the back side. I got merchandise, t-shirts. Buy a t-shirt, helping out the show. I got a PayPal link on there. If you just want to give me some goddamn money, I would be very appreciative. See, you had me tongue tied. I was so excited about the aspect, or even the idea of somebody just like, here's some money. But hey man, it's not really all about that. As long as you listen to the show, as long as you freaking interact, as long as you retweet, I mean, you're doing something with the show. I mean, it's not about you giving me money. Those things are just there just because, I mean, it's there, you know? I mean, you don't have to buy a shirt. You don't have to donate to the show monetarily, like Brandon McIntyre and Glenn Abbott, who I appreciate very much so. But those things are there if you feel the urge or feel the need that, you know, I warrant it, or you want to do it out of the goodness of your heart. I appreciate it. I've spent a lot of time talking about giving me money, but once again, it's not about that. RandomRobcast.com. You can also see my guest list of all the people that have been on the show. You can listen to some of the music of the artists that have been on the show, like Zyme, Sir John Lee, Venus Versace, Sabrina Fowler. I don't know where I got Sarah from. Bumpy 103. I need to throw Anomaly up there. He just was on the last episode. Shout out to Hoppy Rogers for hooking that up. Meeting cool people all over the internet. That's kind of what, you know, I enjoy about podcasting. Just meeting all these interesting people and giving people that have a unique story or platform to, you know, put themselves out there for whatever it is they do. So, yeah, man, voicemails. I don't plug the voicemail line enough. 304-825-5762. I think that's right. I haven't even said it out loud in a long time. I'm probably saying it wrong, but it's in the show description if you read those type of things. And also, the Random Randoms with Rob is in association with Hush Your Face Entertainment, a collective of podcasts that band together to promote their shit and each other. And it's a good group of podcasts. It's like 5011 of them. Go to hushyourface.com and Instagram. Follow me there. It's fun. We in Walmart. More Walmart shit coming soon. And that's it. And I'll see you next time.
Hush Your Face is coming straight to your ears. A podcast network that's changing gears, bringing fresh funky pods with a fresh funky beat. A family of pods that are bringing the heat. There ain't no stopping us. Keep coming back to us. Sick ass pods that'll make you hush. www Hush Your Face. www Hush Your Face. www hushyourface.com.